Welcome to the DollarsAndSense Podcast. This is the show where we discuss some of the most interesting and important finance topics. And today, we're going to be discussing something that is very important to the hearts of many Singaporeans, and that is traveling. And of course, at DollarsAndSense, we care a lot about the financial aspects of traveling. So our topic today will be something that I personally feel strongly about, and that is why large families pay disproportionately more when they travel. And joining me today to discuss this important topic is Nick.
Hello guys, what's up?
The reason why we have Nick here today is because his claim to fame, I think, more importantly, is he's a father of 6.
Yes.
So you have 6 kids.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
And
What happened?
pretty wide range, and it just started with 2 kids. My first were a pair of twin girls.
Okay.
And then a boy came along a year later. Initially, we thought, okay, we're done. And then another one came along because we felt that, the boy couldn't fit in with the twins.
Okay.
And then once you hit 3, 4, 5 and 6, it doesn't make much of a difference.
Okay, so it doesn't
already.
make... Okay, wow. So I have three kids myself,
Right.
3 girls. So, in the most recent Singapore Budget 2025, I think the Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong, actually shared this new term called large families.
Yes, large families.
So how they define it in Singapore at least is that large families means you have 3 kids or more.
Oh, it's 3 kids.
Yeah, 3
So that
kids.
means mine is larger families.
You are 2 large families lah. My question to you actually, right, is firstly, how often do you guys travel considering you have 6 kids?
No, we actually travel all the school holidays.
That's awesome. But
So school holidays, we all know that the school holidays are the March, the June, the September, and the December holidays.
which is pretty much the only time you can travel
Yes,
lah.
exactly, because of their school schedules and stuff like that. And being in a very competitive education system here, which is of course a different topic altogether, you don't want them to be missing school. That's for sure. So school holidays, it is. But where we're going to go for March holidays or September holidays being 1 week versus the June and the December holidays would be very, very different. So March and September, maybe Malaysia.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
And you drive up?
Yeah. So road trips up for
Malaysia?
the 1 week holidays. And then June and December, we'll try to keep the December one for the more,
Extravagant for the
right?
place.
Yeah.
Once you have 1 kid that goes to school, that's pretty much it.
You're confined to the school holidays unless you want to be like some of the parents that I've seen, right? They pontang the last few days before the school holidays.
Yeah. Some people do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've seen those.
I saw a jam on Friday morning when I was driving up to Malaysia before the school holiday, and there were other people there as well.
Exactly. You see kids in the car as well. Pontang school.
But what about accommodations?
So obviously hotels and stuff like that, they have head count policies and stuff like that for the rooms. So you are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either way you look at it.
Yep.
There are some hotels that allows 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
There was one hotel that we went to in Japan last year.
How do you all book it? Like, do you all go to Agoda or Booking.com?
Yeah,
say
yeah,
2
yeah.
adults, 6 children.
Something like that.
Oh, you tried?
Because some
the
hotels,
options will limit itself once you put that,
correct,
right? Yeah.
correct. But after let's say you just put something like 2 adults, 2 kids.
But that's okay.
For example, like that, right? And then you go and explore the different hotels.
Okay.
Then you realize that actually some of them, right, allows they have 4 single beds in that one room. There's one hotel that I went to in Japan. There's 4 single beds, huge room, surprisingly.
Which is why they allowed for 2 adults, 2 kids.
Correct.
Right, when you put the configuration.
But then after that, you realize that you can actually put one more cot in there, and they allowed it.
Okay.
When we contacted them, they're like, yeah, sure.
What about the strict guys?
Oh, those straight up ones, right? They tell you no straight away. Like, no, cannot. So they'll limit you to, 2 adults, 1 kid, and if let's say your smaller baby needs a cot, that's all you're gonna have.
Okay. So, but you will try to contact the hotels directly.
Yeah, for sure.
To make sure that they are okay with your
Absolutely.
large family coming.
Absolutely. Because, the last thing you want is for you to go down to the hotel and tell you, oh, no, now you have to pay another 10 grand more because now you need to take the suite.
Yeah. I'm actually more okay if they actually give you a real upgrade.
At the end of the day, that's complimentary.
Yeah.
But there were some hotels, I think the more recent one, last year, middle of the year, I think we went to KL. They were not happy that my youngest one, they wanted to consider a head count. At that point in time, he was 6 months old.
Why? They want to charge him as a person, or they want to give you a bed and then they say the bed is chargeable?
No, basically, we didn't consider him a head count there.
Okay.
Because he's 6 months old.
Yep.
But they insisted that we have to. And for whatever reason, they wanted to charge us for an additional headcount.
Yeah, but you don't get anything tangible from it, right? So you really need to do your own research on booking.com or something.
Yeah,
then
do your own due diligence.
Then maybe even contact them directly to share with them your family's profile.
Yep.
To make sure that they're okay with it before you actually book.
More often than not, they'll try to fleece you there already.
Oh, right.
They say, oh no, cannot. You need to go take the suite already.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. It's a little bit grey. So sometimes you have to, I mean, it is just the nature of it. You have to sometimes be a little bit hard-headed when it comes to these kind of things.
I actually have a couple of positive experiences as well in one of the recent trips I have to Japan, right, with the entire family, 6 of us again. My wife wanted to consider this glamping place near Mount Fuji. And the thing with some of these glamping accommodations is that they are actually already designed for very big groups. I think it could be 8 adults actually. And when you go into the tent, the very big tent, there's actually 4 queen-size beds. So even for our family, 6 person, we didn't even max it out. And when we were there, I saw most of the other tents and they had couples with like 2 person, right? So at least, that's one of those things where you can book a big accommodation and you essentially pay the same price as people that are just traveling as a couple.
You maximize the value.
You maximize the value. So you choose accommodations that really are designed for large groups.
Yep.
Right, but it's not so easy to find.
It is not easy.
A place that can take 6 or 8 people in one
big kudos
place.
to my wife, who's always the one that's scouting all these
you
things.
need to choose accommodations that are really designed for your large families.
I mean, because if you leave it to the guys, for example, right, it's going to be damn ratty. It's going to be bare minimum kind of thing. The mothers always got the kids back.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to talk about the next topic, right? We talked a lot about hotels, but what about hotel transfers or the first place that you reach after you reach the airport?
Take the train. No, just
Does it stress you out or like what's your playbook here?
Research beforehand.
Okay.
So
this is just from the airport to the hotel?
Correct.
Okay.
So when we went to Japan, we went to Tokyo first and then after that Disneyland and all that is towards the end of the trip. From the airport to Tokyo City itself, we had to take the airport transfer.
Okay.
So
this is the bus or the train?
Bus.
The bus, okay.
Bus. It was one of those private, like Toyota Hiace kind of big 12-seater kind of buses.
Right, so this is just for your family lah.
Correct.
You didn't share it with other people.
No, it's not shared.
Right.
It's just private. But we had to choose a Hiace. We can't just take a Uber.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like a 4-seater Uber kind of thing.
I mean, the only way is you take 2 Uber, but then you probably want everyone to travel together.
No, if you actually look at the dollars and cents for the Ubers in Japan, it's crazy expensive.
So the Toyota transfer was actually more affordable.
Yeah, because, I think we went to Haneda. Haneda to Tokyo City, it's quite a distance. So if you're going to take 2 Grabs there, right, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Yep.
Right? So we realized that if we take a 12-seater Hiace, it was about equivalent of $150 directly from the hotel's departure gate, right, straight to your hotel door.
150.
It's about $150.
So it's bang for buck lah, considering how many people you have.
Correct. Whereas when you check the Uber prices, just for the sake of it, right, when we reached the hotel, it was about $100 each Uber from the hotel to the airport or vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would have inevitably had to pay like $50 to $70 more.
Yeah, I guess in your case, you really make it work for you. I think maybe even potentially not much more expensive than everybody taking a JRL.
Yeah, it took me back to one scenario when we went to Korea a couple of years ago. I went with my side of the family as well. So my brother, my sister, my parents as well.
So how many people?
The kids,
okay.
it's like a ton of people. Purely just to save costs.
Yeah.
We decided to take the train from the airport. To the hotel.
Right. How was the experience?
And mind you, the kids were younger back then, and I only had at the time only had 5 kids.
Only 5 for that.
Was it? No, 4.
Okay, only 4 lah.
Only 4 at that point in time. 4 kids only at that point in time. So 4 kids, 2 adults, and 2 adults. Oh God, at least 11, 12 people.
Okay, train.
12 people are gonna take the train. 4 young kids, a couple of adults, and mind you, elderly parents too.
Yeah. And your luggage.
Everyone,
and
at
presumably
least
your stroller as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
From Incheon, we took the train all the way to Seoul Station. The hotel, right? We looked at the map and said, okay, it's not that far from Seoul Station. It's exactly what you were saying.
I'm just laughing because it was not so far. But
yeah, it's exactly what you're saying because it may not be that far.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So my brother and I, we looked at the map, right? We said, yeah, it's not that far. I mean, look at the map. It just says 7-minute walk.
Yeah.
2 things we forgot about. 1, we had kids. Or in fact, 3. So 1, we had kids. 2, we got 2 old folks.
Yeah.
And number 3 is winter and snowing.
All right, it's super cold and
Yeah. So it's not even 3 minutes into the walk, right?
Yeah.
The kids broke down. They had enough. My dad's legs were giving way. We're in the middle of a park. There's no way we can just stop and get an Uber now.
Right, yeah.
So we're like, oh man. So I let my dad rest, the kids rest, run off to go and get some hot drink, come back, feed the kids, warm them up. Dad, are you okay? Then I say, okay, walk, another 2-3 minutes, and he had to stop again.
Yeah.
My God, instead of a 7 or a maximum 10-minute walk, we ended up taking half an hour just to get to the hotel.
Yeah. I'm not surprised because I think that's when you realize that traveling with multiple kids, young kids, as well as elderly parents as well, is super different from like if you're just going there with your wife.
Yeah.
And maybe just one kid with a stroller.
Yeah.
Right? It's way easier. Because I laugh because I had a same experience in Japan, right? So we were at, you guys, Shinjuku, right?
Yeah.
You know, Shinjuku have like, don't know how many, like hundreds of like exits, right?
Yep.
So we took the Narita. This was, we had 3 kids, 3 kids, 3 adults, right? So me, my wife, my mom-in-law and 3 kids. And we were at Shinjuku. So with our luggage. And it says it's walking distance from the Shinjuku station, right?
Nice.
So yeah, walking distance.
Nice.
Only thing that you never take into considerations is that you have like 3 big luggage, 1 stroller, and there's no lift also.
Yeah. Sometimes you just weigh it out.
Yeah.
Just pay.
You're right. I think that's the thing, right? The airport transfer is something that I think you can't easily get away with it when you have a large family. So like what do you do? Just research the best possible deal.
Yeah.
Like in Japan, maybe 2 Grab or 2 Ubers may be very expensive.
Yeah.
And then you probably better off getting a big Toyota van. Plus your luggage as well. So it might be a 12-seater, but you probably need some luggage space. While in other places, you really got to do your research as well. Okay, I just want to move on to cars as well. But you were talking about, earlier driving up to Malaysia and you have an 8-seater car as well, right?
I mean, even in Singapore where cars are extremely expensive, you're only limited to these sort of cars. So I guess it's just part and parcel of what comes with it. But at the same time, if you talk about proportionally, right, these cars that are typically the bigger cars are often the more luxurious ones as well.
Yes.
So give and take, you still get to enjoy.
Or rather, you don't have the option to go for a very economical
without
4-seater hatchback anymore, even if you want to save money.
Yeah. You're going to use that car to just ferry your way from the airport to the hotel. You can't use that car to go anywhere else.
I think the other thing to take note also is your luggage when you travel.
Oh, yeah.
So like I recently just came back from Japan, right? And so we have 6 person. And so we booked a Toyota Noah or equivalent. So it's supposed to be an 8-seater. So they had the 8-seater configuration. But there was actually no way I could fit in all my luggage without actually pushing down the back seats.
Correct.
So thankfully, we have only 6 person and not like 7 because I had to push down one of the back seat at the 3rd row in order to accommodate the luggage, which basically makes it a 6-seater.
I perfectly experienced that last year when we went to Japan. So the day before we were due to move from Tokyo City to Uriyasu to go to Disneyland for the last couple of days, we actually went to one of the factory outlets, Mount Fuji and stuff like that to go shop lah. So there were 2 options. One, you could take the shuttle, or 2, you could rent a car. So we decided to rent a Nissan Serena, which is similar to the Noah. The Noah, 8-seater, very similar cars. That took us to our destination and back very nicely. And then we decided to keep the car for 1 more day.
Okay.
The next day where we were due to go to Uriyasu. So we were just going to return it just before we leave. And then we found our way there. And then we found out that, hey, we can actually return the car at Uriyasu.
Yep.
So that opened up a whole different perspective pick your rental companies properly, because some of them they can only be returned in the same location or in the same city, where some of them you can go intercity,
and that will give you additional options when it comes to traveling.
Correct. So what happened was, with that in mind, we knew we had a ton of luggage to go, right? I decided that, hey,
Put everything.
I'll load all the luggage into the car. I'll drive to the hotel the night before, just our bare essentials left behind.
Right.
Drop off all the heavy luggage there at the hotel.
Okay. So that you have enough space in the car.
So we can bring everybody in the car the next day.
So you can fit in your family but not with the luggage.
Correct.
Can I just ask you a question when it comes to renting a vehicle? Like when you spend money overseas, right?
Yes.
Do you use any like travel card that gives you a better exchange rate?
Yes, U-Trip is one of them.
Use U-Trip. So basically the whole idea is to, essentially maximize the bang for your buck by making sure you get the best possible exchange rate.
Because exchange rates are a thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you have this level of head count,
you need to make sure that every dollar is stretched. I think one thing that, I think my wife likes to do that is, you think of saving towards your holiday.
Yep.
So if you think, and the Japanese yen as well as the Malaysian ringgit in previous years have always been those two currencies that I think a lot of people in Singapore target lah.
Yes.
Right. Japan being the long holiday and Malaysia being that short trips.
Holiday,
right. And I think the good thing about a wallet like U-Trip is that some of the currencies, including both the yen as well as the Malaysia ringgit, you can exchange beforehand. So you can actually store it in your wallet if you see a rate that you like. Of course, nobody knows if it will appreciate or depreciate by the time you go. But it allows you to basically set aside that foreign currency in the country that you want to go. And then obviously when you go there, you just pay using the card. So that's a lot easier. And
it definitely helps. It's a very helpful function, especially if you see suddenly there's a currency dip. Exchange rate dip. Well, just
in your favor, especially in your favor. And you know you're going to travel.
No one's going to do it. It's out of your favor, dude.
I think as travelers, as long as it's in your favor and you know you're traveling there, it makes sense to,
exactly.
lock in those rates.
Malaysia and Japan, when we went to Japan, my God, everywhere you hear, hey, Singaporean. The whole world, the whole Singapore was there.
For me personally, I like it when the rates are past 100 because it's just easier to calculate in your mind how much you are paying.
Correct.
Right? When it's about like in the past, like 80, 90, like 1,000 yen, you divide by 9. Our math's not so good. So 1,000 divided by 10, 100 is very easy to know $10.
I had enough of trying to calculate that way.
So I think one of it is really about eating out and splitting tables. Like
all the time.
How difficult is it for you to actually eat at a restaurant and have everybody seated properly at a table, or do you guys just split tables?
Okay, different age groups as well. Okay, so right now, because the older kids are much older, it's easier to just say split table.
Okay.
The faster we get to eat, the faster everything's better, right?
And your older kids can eat on
they
their
can
own.
feed themselves. They sometimes as teenagers really or pre-teens, they want to sit down and chat by themselves. And sometimes, the topics that they are discussing, they don't want their parents to hear it. So they want to be on their own.
Okay.
So give them that little bit of space, split the tables.
Works in your favor.
Yeah. It's impossible. Because imagine you got 4, 4, 3, and 1. There's no way. How can you split the table? So everyone has to sit in the same table. So the only thing you can do is wait. So even if it means having to wait 45 minutes just for a table, an hour just for a table.
Because there's space, but just you can't get those space like by the counter lah.
Correct. So sometimes this whole stretch can accommodate you.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you find yourself, I find myself doing that, like just sticking out quite often when your kids are young? Because it's just a lot easier to tapao back to eat.
No, I called my wife a caterpillar. She just refuses to stay at home.
No, but when you travel overseas.
Yeah, she just.
So you guys want to eat out?
Yeah.
Here? Okay. Oh wow.
She just. I said either the sofa's got nails or she just refuses to stay.
So you guys will always want to eat out when you're traveling.
When you're overseas, especially a place where like Japan or Korea, where it's such a hustle and bustling kind of city, right? Where there's so much to do.
Yeah.
It's almost, information overload every time you go out, right? You just can't, see yourself just sitting down in the hotel and just eating there.
Right.
So our day can begin at 7 a.m. The day doesn't end until 9, 10 p.m.
Wow. So
it's just back to back to back to back.
And the kids are able to...
The kids love it.
Oh, wow.
Which is why,
crazy.
last year was Japan. This year, they're can we go to Japan again? I want to eat ramen, I want to eat sushi, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to go to Akihabara and so on and so forth. So even at 10 p.m, when we finally retire to the rooms, Japan being so convenient, for example, there's like a sukiya around the corner or something like that, right? It's like, can we have gyudon? So that's when we tap out the food
the
to our room. Supper, right?
Right, okay.
And then, we're all done. What are we going to do tomorrow? We start discussing all that. The kids go to sleep. And my wife is like, let's go hop down to the bar. The kids are asleep already.
Okay.
So much to do. So sometimes it's about maximizing your time there as well.
Right. Wow, you really have it. I mean, for me, it's like, it's tough, man. Like, even though my youngest is older than your youngest right now.
Your kids are still young.
Yeah, but I'm still waiting for the day where I can leave them in a room and head down.
For example, for the 3 and 1 year old when we went last year, right? Of course, the kids, especially the 2 younger ones, have to be dead asleep already before we decide to say, okay, let's hop over to the pub for a beer. Or something.
But the rest of the kids are in the same place lah.
For sure.
So like the older ones looking after.
What happened for us was a neighboring room, so it wasn't too difficult. Like, okay, let's say we leave the 3 and 1 year old with the helper just for that short stint of time. Let's go out, just decompress.
Okay.
The older kids are on their own. Okay. Let them sleep there. Okay, done.
That's a great strategy.
Yeah.
So you bring your helper with you typically when you travel. So that's another. That's another hack, to.
That's another head count. Because imagine this: when you have a helper, the unfortunate thing is some places require additional visas and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you pay for it, you feel the pinch, but knowing that you can go to the holiday and not sweat the small stuff.
Correct. So you can do more on your holiday because at least your helper is helping you lah.
Yeah, there's additional pair of hands. I mean, you can't be asking 2 teenage, 13-year-old daughters to, hey, can you help with your 3-year-old sister or something like that?
I mean, you can, but then I guess you wouldn't be able to go out for your night drinks.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, they will help, but you still have to be there.
They're not adults at the end of the day.
Correct.
So, and it's not fair for you to ask your sister, you can take care of your younger sister.
Well, I mean, I guess, thanks for sharing. I think it's such a long, fantastic
It's always fun to chat about all these kind of things.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that I think, when it comes to large families, 3 or more, as defined by the government, I think there's a lot of families out there who falls into this category. Yep. And I think a lot of them would share similar, experience when it comes to traveling, whether it's hotel rooms or getting the right car, the right transport from the airport to the hotel.
Yes.
As well as, of course, getting the best bang for your buck, using the multi-currency cards that you're using. I think UTrip is a card that I also use.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So it gives you very competitive exchange rate in like most of the countries we've gone to. You can just use your UTrip card. So I think all this are just, travel tips, travel hacks. And, thanks for sharing your tips with us. I
thank you for having me.
I'm inspired as well to travel and enjoy my time.
I thought you were about to say inspired to go have more.
No, I mean, I'm just putting myself out there. I think when you said that 4, 5, 6 were not so challenging, I think you said something like that. It reminded me of what some of my friends who had 4 or more kids also say the same thing. So I was like, a few people have been telling me that recently. So
I mean, it is a reality. I think it's not just a matter of it gets easier. It doesn't. But I think it just comes with experience.
Yeah, you have the experience. You used to wait already. I mean, I always tell at DollarsAndSense, we want to promote the birth rate in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
So we always say like bro, if you already have one, just go for more lah. Anyway,
my wife has an interesting analogy.
Okay.
She says, you will never regret having more kids, but you will regret not having kids.
I guess for couples that are not really looking for kids,
of course,
that's one thing. But I think for those, I think I'm speaking to some of my DollarsAndSense colleagues now. So I guess once you have like 1 or even 2, the third one you will not regret having it lah. Anyway,
for sure.
Of course, like what you say,
like they always say, 0 to 1 is always
the biggest transition.
It's the biggest transition.
Yeah, but 2 to 3, 3 to 4, maybe not so big after all.
Then you go less to the pediatrician.
Right. So what about yourself? Is that it? 6 or?
Yeah, I think we're done.
We might be.
I think I'm pretty much done.
Okay. I mean, that's what they all say.
That's what we said too. So it's like a full circle closed already. Yeah. So even my wife, whenever we talk and we said, oh, 1 more. Like, no. My wife was like, last time was like, maybe if it happens, blah, blah, blah. Now it's like straight up like, okay, we're done. No. Okay, so I think officially done.
All right, and thanks so much, Nick, for
No
sharing
worries.
your
Thanks for having me,
views
and
with
I
us.
really enjoyed my time here.
And I think we're done with this conversation, and we're talking about traveling. And if you guys are a large family, hopefully some of the advice, some of the tips, some of our experiences will help inspire you to enjoy your travel, and feel free to have more kids as well if this doesn't scare you.
I mean, the birth rate in Singapore needs your help.
Yeah, especially for those from 2 to 3 large families.
Yes.
All right, thanks so much. We'll see you guys again soon.